I will be talking about A6M5 Hei. So this is a very heavily armed version of the A6M5 series of Zeros, and the major difference between this variant and the others is that it is pretty heavily armored. It has bulletproof glass in the front, about 45 millimeters at a 36-degree angle. It also has armor protection in the back for the pilot, and an armor, I think that's bulletproof glass, 55 millimeters at 60 degrees. No, actually it's at 90 degrees. Okay. It says 80 degrees. It looks like 90 degrees, but it's close to that. Alright, so it's armored, unlike other Zeros. I'll show you the A6M Otsu. This is armored too, but as you can see, the back part, there's no armor protection for the head for the pilot. And the top speed of my Zero, it's fully upgraded. It's been modded fully, except for the bombs and new machine guns. Other than that, it's been almost fully modded. And it has a horsepower of maximum power of 1106 horsepower, and it has three 13.2 millimeter heavy machine guns, a Type 3 heavy machine gun. This is based on the Browning M2 machine gun, which was designed by John Moses Browning. I think it was made, the M2 was made in 1919. It's a very good design. It was used by the U.S. Air Force and all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces, and it was a pretty good machine gun, except the only difference between this variant is that it uses a different cartridge, a 13.2 millimeter cartridge, and believe it or not, that the 13.2 millimeter Type 3 machine gun is actually heavier than the 20 millimeter cannon. That's kind of strange, isn't it? It also has better ballistics. So the main difference is this Zero has three 13.2 millimeter heavy machine guns, and it has two Type 99 20 millimeter cannons, and this is the same cannon used on all variants of the Zero, from the A6M2, which also uses a Type 99 20 millimeter cannon. Same cannon, except the other Zeros don't have self-sealing fuel tanks like this version of the Zero, like the Hei. See, all the fuel tanks are self-sealing. So the way self-sealing fuel tanks works is that it's made out of rubber. So if the fuel tank gets punctured, it wets the rubber, and it's some kind of composite rubber material, and it seals up the hole. That's how it works. So basically, and the only drawback of this aircraft is that it has it has almost the same engine as all the other Zeros, which I will show you. This has a 1106 horsepower engine, and so does the A6M5 Hei, same engine. the A6M3 uses the same engine as the A6M5 Hei. Same engine, 14 cylinder. It's a Nakajima Sakai 21 14 cylinder radial engine. And the earlier Zero, let's see, the A6M2 uses a Nakajima Sakai 12 14 cylinder engine, so this has less horsepower than this engine. But this engine is heavier. I think it's 533 kilograms. That one is actually, this one, the older one, is heavier. Okay, that's weird. But it has less horse output and horsepower. And this has other weapons on it that the other Zeros don't have. Like these rockets are air-to-air rockets. They're not air-to-ground rockets. So if you try to hit ground targets with it, you're not going to get good results because it doesn't penetrate armor or anything. Against soft targets like trucks and stuff, or artillery, anti-aircraft guns, I guess it would be effective. But it's mostly for shooting down aircraft because it's an air-to-air rocket. So yeah, I guess it would be effective against bombers. I guess this version of the Zero was designed to be some kind of interceptor, a high altitude interceptor. But radio engines don't really function that well at high altitude. But I guess it was just designed for shooting down bombers. That's the purpose of it. And it's heavy, so as you can see the specs here, the maximum speed is 563 kilometers an hour, and this is fully upgraded. Has a maximum altitude of 10,900 meters. So the speed that you get at 563 kilometers an hour is basically at 6,000 meters. Has a ceiling of 10,900 meters. Turn rate is not so good for a Zero. It's 19.1 seconds, but it could probably outturn most other fighters of this class. Climb rate is not so good. It's 14.7 meters per second because of the fact that it's heavy. It doesn't have a very good power to weight ratio compared to, let's say, the A6M5 Hei, which has a much higher climb rate of 21.2 meters per second and a much better turn time of 15.8 seconds versus 19.1 seconds. So this is a lot more sluggish because of all the armor and the weapons that was added on it. The weird thing here is that they didn't put a second machine gun in this area where they could fit another machine gun, unlike this one. So you have two machine guns, but you only have one, but they added two more on the wingtips, all around the wing area. So that's something that's different. So other than that, it's a slower Zero. I mean, it's not slower, it has a worse power to weight ratio. They did have another version of the Zero that was never released during the war. I think it was an A6M8. That had a new engine in it. I think it had a horsepower of 1500 horsepower. That was a max power. That would have been good because it would have had the engine upgrade that it needed to have all these additional upgrades, like different, like heavier armaments, more armor, and stuff like that. So let's play a game and see how this thing performs. Okay, so the ammunition that I will be using will be ground target ammunition for the 13.2 millimeter machine guns, and I don't have better shells for this because it didn't get an upgrade, so just regular. Okay. Well, this Zero still has the same problems that the earlier Zeros have, like the aircraft lock control surface is locking up at very high speeds. That problem was not resolved. That still existed. But I do like the firepower on this thing. It does have a lot of firepower for sure. These new guns certainly add a punch to this aircraft that it did not previously have. That's one thing I like about it. And the way to use this thing correctly is by flying at a higher altitude or a medium altitude and just pouncing on your enemies with it instead of trying to engage in a dogfight. That's how I found this the most efficient use out of this aircraft, out of this version of the A6M Zero. If I want to engage in a dogfight with that aircraft, I don't think I would have a problem. I think he would be taken out very quickly. Even with this Zero being this sluggish, I could still dogfight aircraft like Focke-Wulf 190s, Messerschmitt 109. The different variants of it, no problem with that. Or a P-51 Mustang. But I might have a problem dogfighting a Spitfire or something, because those aircraft are pretty maneuverable. I just like the firepower on this thing, man. It's just pretty good. You know, since I'm a good shot, I want guns that could actually dish out a lot of damage in short bursts. And the Japanese 20mm shells aren't as good as the German shells, the 20mm, because the German shells had the German mine shells packed a lot of explosives on their projectiles, so those are very good projectiles. But the Japanese 20mm guns aren't, I mean, projectiles aren't as good, and this Type 99 autocannon doesn't have good ballistics either. it doesn't have very high missile velocity. That's a problem with it. But if you do get into a dogfight, all you have to do is use your combat flaps. Uh-oh, someone's coming after me. P-51. Now I'm going to engage my combat flaps. Send this guy. Turn this guy into a flaming wreck. I guess I can't because he got away. So just keep this in mind when you get into a dogfight. This aircraft, since it's heavier, is going to lose a lot of energy very quickly. So you got to keep that in mind. What the hell was that, man? I gotta go back to the airbase and get repaired. What the hell's wrong with that guy? He's shooting everywhere. Okay. I got friendlies here. My wing's damaged. I'm not gonna be able to dogfight with this anymore. Okay, all my allies are dealing with that guy. Okay. I don't think I'll be landing here. There's too many damn enemies. Uh-oh. Time for me to bail out. Alright. Okay, let's play another game. So as you can see, the fuel amount that I put in here is minimum. I did that to reduce the weight. Plus, a match is not going to last 26 minutes, so that's why I put the minimum amount of fuel. So the way the guns are positioned is you see that there are 4 guns on the wings. So when you shoot, it converges to a point, as you can see. I think the convergence point is 300 to 400 yards. So you got to keep that in mind when you're shooting at your enemy targets. About the convergence point, and having a gun in the center is definitely a lot better. See the convergence problem? I think he's dead. Let's get out of here. Alright. Let's pounce on some people. coming at me. There's a J-26 below me. Let's pounce on him. Okay, that one's dead. Okay, good. There's some drone aircraft right there. Whoops. I don't want to get shot at. Okay, good. You gotta be very careful when you attack bombers with this aircraft or with any Zero. Because I'm telling you, they could mess you up. Man, that Spitfire got me. Okay, let's bail out. Okay, now I'm playing with the A6M Zero. So this is a lot more agile and responsive compared to that the Hei version. You could dogfight with this pretty good, but the problem is you can't take hits. This thing you could turn on a dime. And that's SOV sure is taking a lot of hits. Okay, it's down. So you don't lose a lot of energy when you fly with this thing. And it climbs really well as well. Oh man, someone's shooting at me. I didn't see that. God damn it. What the hell is that thing? I can't even see it. Get out of here. Yeah, so the difference between the other versions of the A6M and the Hei is that the Hei just has a much crappier turn radius and it's not as agile as you just saw there. So let's play another game. Okay, now let's try this with rockets. Rockets there. They're all air-to-air rockets. So let's try to hunt down some bombers with it. Could also use it for head-on attacks. Also, that's also a possibility. Head-on attacks are dangerous, but if you had to engage in something like that, you could.
The enemy's getting closer to victory.
There's a B-17 right there. I think these rockets were designed for that. That wasn't too successful. I don't think rockets were ever successful during World War II unless they were directed at ground targets. Trying to hit an aircraft with a rocket. It's very difficult. They should have just tried to turn these rockets into air-to-ground rockets. That would have been more effective, in my opinion. Okay, now to employ my flaps. This guy's tricky. This guy is tricky. He's damaged. He's not going to survive. Okay. Adios. Adios, amigos. I think I could catch him unless he turns. Okay, come on, come on, come on. Okay. See you later, Fritz. Which direction I'm going when I head back to base. Okay, this guy's coming at me. Crowd. I shouldn't have used rockets. Really regret it. Okay, let's see if my self-sealing. Nope, didn't work. Okay, that's it. Okay, now let's talk about this aircraft and what I think about it. So, the pros of it, very good armaments, primary armaments, especially the cannons and the machine guns. It's a lot of firepower. That's good. And it has self-sealing fuel tanks. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But when I played it today, it didn't work. Getting shot made you as vulnerable as any other Zero that didn't have self-sealing fuel tanks. But I guess it helps you last a little bit longer. That's a good thing about it. It has good protection and good features, you know. Good firepower. Now the bad about it, and also another good thing is it has pretty good armor protection for the pilot. And now let's talk about the negatives or the cons of this aircraft. It's not a really good dogfighter, and the rockets for this aircraft aren't good. And basically rockets on any World War II aircraft aren't good at all. I mean, you're really not going to shoot down any aircraft with unguided rockets. It's very difficult to do. So instead of them having provided this aircraft with air-to-air rockets, they should have just provided them with this aircraft with air-to-ground rockets. You know, that would have been more effective. And this missile or air-to-air rocket is no different. This one is just as crappy as that, except the warhead's a little bit bigger. Well, it's heavier, of course, and but you only have 2 rockets, so that's not very effective. See, since these are not even accurate, you'll run out of them a lot quicker. And it does have bombs. It does have bombs like all the other Zeros. A 250 kilogram bomb that goes under the aircraft, kind of like this one. I'll show you. You could add a 500-pound bomb under the fuselage of the aircraft, so it could be used for some ground attack roles. And like I said, the negative is the poor it has poor acceleration as well. It doesn't taxi off the runway as well as other A6M Zeros. You do need a longer runway to take off with this aircraft because of the additional weight. Turn radius, I said, is slow. The climb rate is slow because it doesn't have a good power to weight ratio. You know, they should have really thought of that before they should have thought of that before they added all these additional features like self-sealing fuel tank, additional heavier armaments and stuff like that. And a heavier and a better engine would have just resolved probably most of those problems, but they didn't add a better engine, so that just makes this aircraft mediocre compared to other Zeros, you know. So that's about it. Thanks for watching my Ace 1000 KS 1975.